Welcome to an IEXIST podcast. Our entire mission can be summed up in one phrase: becoming all that we are. It is our belief that fulfillment doesn't come from changing into things you aren't, but rather from becoming everything that you already are. And ultimately, we're here to press and empower you to lead lives that are full of fulfillment. We've dedicated this specific podcast to the dream, not to having the dream or even talking about the dream, but to living the dream. The reality is that there's a stark difference between having a dream and manifesting one. Here you'll gain insight and wisdom keys directly from some of the water walkers of our generation, dream practitioners, those who have decided to tread paths where there were none, to step out into only what they could see. Come take a peek into the minds of some who, from within, create our world's most magnificent realities. I'm the creator and host, Bryan Pharr, and this is the Living the Dream podcast. Hello and welcome to the 11th episode of Living the Dream, the podcast. I am your host, Bryan Pharr. And first of all, I want to say I have immensely enjoyed making these podcasts for you guys. And I hope that you also have enjoyed the podcast as much as I have. If so, what I need you to do is leave a rating on the podcast listening platform of your choice. Go ahead, leave a rating. Let us know how much you've enjoyed it. Also share it with other people, those people that you know that may enjoy it, that you are sure will enjoy it. Go ahead and share it with them. Secondly, I would also like you to consider supporting the podcast. And so the way that you would do that is to visit patreon.com and you can search my name, Bryan Pharr, or you can just type in patreon.com/Bryan Pharr. That's BRYANPHARR. It's patreon.com/Bryan Pharr. And there you can become a monthly subscriber, a supporter of the podcast monetarily, so that we can continue to grow the platform and get in all the spaces we need to and be available to do all of the work that we need to in order to make this podcast a success. I greatly appreciate your support and effort in advance on all of those things. Thirdly, I want to go ahead and jump straight into it. And today I want to talk to you about the secret. Everyone wants to know what the secret of success is. What's the secret to wealth, to fulfillment, to happiness, to joy, to the gratitude that I see others have around life, the love they have about life that I just don't have right now? What is it? What is the secret? And I'm going to approach this subject matter from an angle that you may not be expecting. But listen, I'm going to lay it straight out there. Here's the secret. There is none. There is no secret. Everything is laid out for you on full display. Everything you need, all the keys to success, to the wealth, to the enjoyment you're seeking, to the happiness are laid out on full display around you every single day at every waking moment. And I know this can be hard to believe because of many of the circumstances that you may be surrounded by or may be in at the present moment. But listen, here's what I know for a fact. And I don't know how many people will tell you this because we often capitalize on selling secrets that you don't often have to go to anyone for, but there is none. So let me explain this to you and dive a little deeper. I'll never forget talking to a friend of mine who moved out of town to a new place in which he was faced with the task to really start life over. He had to start everything anew. And if you've ever done it before, you know how difficult that can be, especially in a place where your contacts are limited or you don't have that many sources of connection, etc. But at a time when he needed it most, he talked to me about how someone randomly that he didn't know came up to him and simply spoke one phrase that really impacted him and changed him for the better. And that phrase was this: everything you need is around you right where you are, but you just have to be still long enough to be able to see it. And maybe that's what someone needs to hear during these times in which there's been forced lockdown and moments where all of us have been faced with the reality of our situations in a deeper way and also been faced with an opportunity to start over, to start anew, to start fresh. And in those moments, you may be questioning, what can I do? How can I do it? What's going to lead me to this desire? What's, again, the secret to getting to where I need to be now that I know this, now that I have an understanding about this and I have a new goal And success is something that I want for my life. I want to set a new legacy. I want to start a new path for my family, for those around me. I want to make impact. I want to make a change in a bigger, better way than those I maybe even have been surrounded by, or in the same way as the people I've been inspired by and been surrounded by. Well, that's the secret. And we'll start there. That there is none. Everything you need is around you, even if where you are isn't where you want to be. And so before I dive too far into one angle of it, let's look at it from this angle. Maybe you've heard the phrase, people die or people perish or people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Well, that in and of itself, to me, isn't a complete reality. It's not true. People don't die from a lack of knowledge. They die from their lack of knowledge. People are not destroyed from a lack of information that could lead to knowledge or a general lack of knowledge itself. They are destroyed from their unwillingness to know, from their unwillingness to be knowledgeable, to not be knowledgeable about what's present in and around them at all points of time, from their actual willingness to ignore. You see, long before anyone perishes or is destroyed or dies from a lack of knowledge, they suffer from a lack of acknowledgement in their own life of what's been available to them the entire time. Listen, the high majority of us who have any goal to lose weight, to get in shape, to lead healthier lives physically, we know or we're surrounded by enough information on a daily basis. We're surrounded by enough knowledge to know exactly how to get it done, but are often still Googling, searching, asking around about the secret of how to get your body like this or your health to that standard. You know, what's the secret is what we'll often ask. And simple answers like diet and exercise, which again, for the majority of us, for the high majority of us, is always on our radar, becomes the very thing most of us will not acknowledge and therefore suffer for our lack of acknowledgement. And very many of us end up being destroyed, literally dying from the lack of knowledge concerning our health. In the same way, this goes for success, this goes for happiness, this goes for any accomplishment that you really want and you really want to achieve that is real and that is long lasting. The secret is that there is none. And so if you want to live your dream, live out your dream desires, live your dream life, rather than always asking what's missing, which sometimes there are things missing. Maybe you do need a team. Maybe you need a partner. Maybe you need to read. Maybe you need a mentor. Maybe you need a friend. Maybe you need a family. Maybe you do need to move. But the point is that if it's not in your hand, then it's in your reach. And the only way that you'll get to further steps down the line is if you embrace those immediate things that you need to do to get on your way. And whatever those immediate things are, trust me, they're right in your grasp. They're right around you every single time.
Writer, producer, artist, coach, and inspirational motivational speaker, Bryan Pharr takes us on a deep, retrospective, and introspective journey ranging from his childhood until life today that invokes the question, will I live a life of significance or one of safety? Filled with experience-gained wisdom and revelatory insights, A New Home dares its readers to ask themselves the hard questions concerning their need to fit in. How far will you go? And will all the efforts you've made be worth it in the end? This perspective-shifting discourse is a must-read, and through its hard-hitting yet relatable, tear-jerking, and even at points comical nature may prove to be more of a life-changing event than just a good Sunday morning read. Get your physical copy or digital copy today at becomingallthatweare.com.
You know, there's a really wise saying, and I believe it's an old saying, but it says that whenever the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And the depth I want to emphasize and pull out from that is that things show up when you're actually looking for them. If you would dare ask, if you would dare seek, if you would dare knock on doors you haven't, begin to acknowledge, again, seek, look around, be still for enough time to understand that the answer is around you. It's not that there's a lack of knowledge. It's your lack of knowledge that you will perish from. There's an inside joke that knowledgeable people often have amongst one another That's really probably meant to be somewhat of an insult, but it's the truth. And that joke is this, that if you ever want to hide something from the general populace, just put it in a book. And what they are acknowledging in that moment is that there's so many of you in this world who are asking what the secret is when there's, at this point in history, millions of people who have allowed their knowledge to be known in the books that we walk by every day. Whether it's the Barnes and Noble we never walk into, whether it's the Holy Scriptures that you never pick up and actually read, whether it's the magazines you walk past in the grocery store and things like that all the time. It's not that the knowledge or information is not there. Of course, knowledge is when it becomes personal to you, but your access to knowledge is always right around you. But what have you been ignoring that you could introduce into your life? Again, it's always in reach, but are you actually seeking it? And maybe what needs to be considered is that sometimes asking what the secret is actually a search to find a loophole and not have to do it the right way, in the real way, and what is assumed to be the hard way. And sometimes it is the hard way, but that becomes the real way and the right way. And I believe that many times, one of the very reasons the secrets to success could be laid out in front of us day by day, but we continually ask, what's the secret? Is to avoid doing the work that success requires. Avoid letting go of the baggage. Avoid essentially the cost of what it's going to take of sitting aside time to do the exercise, to sit aside more money for proper dietary measures, to save up for the move, to start filling the house and use budget for things we don't like to do, like read and educate ourselves and become less dependent upon systems that offer us seemingly easy solutions, but don't really lead to success itself and freedom. What are we really asking when we ask, what's the secret? Because the secret is always there. Now, at the same time, there are some of us who ask, what's the secret, from reliable sources. They tell us keys and principles to get us to where we're going. We decide in that moment and take the action steps that are necessary to get us there. But this is also for those of us who are continually asking, trying to find loopholes and ways around things and around doing things the right way and wanting a quick and easy fix. You have to acknowledge at some point that it's there and that there is no excuse for not knowing. It's all around you. I'll tell you a little secret. At the beginning of this podcast, I quote a core belief in one of the original statements of IEXIST itself, which is that fulfillment doesn't come from changing into things that you aren't, but rather from becoming everything that you are. Where did that come from? Where did that quote unquote secret come from? So check this out. I know that the only way an apple seed can grow and become fulfilled as a living thing in this world is for it to grow up and become everything that it was intended to be. One of the quickest ways, and I know I'm talking about an apple tree as if it's human. I know I'm giving it human-like qualities, but the quickest way for an apple seed to live an unfulfilled life is for it to grow up trying to be an orange tree, jealous of an orange tree, wanting to produce oranges. It's only going to find fulfillment in being everything it was created to be and providing what it was supposed to provide to the world around it. And in its fulfillment, it brings fulfillment to the world around it in the form of those of us who enjoy its fruits and more. So that secret is latent, is hidden in plain sight in front of everybody on a day-to-day basis who's able to see a tree or some living thing that has a function. It's not hiding, it's right in front of you. But are we looking for it? Are you looking for it? Listen, there's many things that could prevent you from seeing, from acknowledging the secrets that are right around you that are hidden in plain sight. But I'm only going to acknowledge 3 of them today. And those are bad information, bad beliefs, and bad company. Bad information normally comes from people who are liars, manipulators, and who are only trying to capitalize and ultimately use you, never really help you, but they'll come in the guise of attempting to help you, but they only want to use you to get to a certain end of their own, which is a cheap trick, a cheap shot, a way of getting around doing the work, as I was talking about earlier. Those type of people produce bad information. They sell you bad information. That bad information turns into bad beliefs. Those bad beliefs stop you from being open, stop you from being willing to change. They convince you to lie to yourself, to see yourself as less than what you are. They make you hopeless and literally start living just to die in survival mode, essentially. Those bad beliefs without change only lead you to more people who are like you in those same ways, who have those same beliefs, so that you all end up coping together for the rest of your life. That's just a short explanation. And if you're wondering, how do you know if it's bad information or not? How do you know whether you have bad beliefs or not? How do you know if you're surrounded by bad company or not? That answer, that truth is very simple. And it lies in one thing: honesty. Is what someone is selling you actually effectual in their life? Is someone trying to sell you happiness who isn't happy themselves? All right? Is your belief producing what you want to see out of life? Is the dream actually manifesting? Is it becoming an actual reality in your life? And you have to be honest about that. Are you actually around successes? Are you around those that are happy, that aren't jealous of other people's rise and success? What type of company are you keeping? Are you actually made happy by being around them? Or are you feeling down when you leave their presence? Are you really feeling lifted? Are you really being helped? Or are you remaining the same by being around them? Is everyone growing together? These are the things that you have to look for and that you have to be honest about. If there's no growth in your group, or growth from your beliefs, or growth from the information that you're getting that's actually manifesting your dream, then this is how you know whether those things are bad or not. It's always the end result. It's always, again, referring back to nature, the fruit of the environment, of the information, of the belief that will let you know. Is there a stagnation in your life? Have you found yourself not changing for a long time, not growing, not getting any better? These are the things you have to be honest with yourself about, over the automatic responses that we've been programmed to give in public, such as good when someone asks, how are we doing? These are the type of things you have to look inwardly for when you're by yourself and start to really consider. Again, count the cost. Do a profit and loss statement of your life so that you can know and really realize where you are and begin to get on the right path if you're not towards living your dream. So listen, the secret is that there is none. People do not perish or die. They aren't destroyed from a lack of knowledge, but from their lack of knowledge. It's all around you. Your acknowledgement of it will bring you the right information, which will bring you into knowing yourself. There's no secret. I've done a great deal of work to provide answers for you that you may be looking for, to provide hope for you if that's something that you want and need. I've written a book, which is available now. We're providing this podcast. I'm working on many other things, including coaching that is going to be available this week. I know I mentioned it before. There was a little bit of delay in being able to bring that to the public. And honestly, the way that you'll get to that, you can also get to my book and a few other materials that I provided. And that's all going to be on becomingallthatweare.com. That is the IEXIST website that is now up and available. Again, look for those coaching opportunities to come later this week. I'll be putting up information. You can follow me at Bryan Pharr, Instagram, Facebook. It's normally where I am the most. We've got great interviews coming up. Thank you for chugging along with us this far, for following us this far. We got a long way to go, but I'm positive we'll get there. Thank you for listening to Living the Dream today. As always, I pray that your way be made prosperous. And again, until next time.